You are being manipulated. What you are watching in LA is political theater to justify a crackdown on blue cities and states, a crackdown that was always planned. What we're seeing in LA is not an isolated or organic incident. It is something Donald Trump and Stephen Miller have been planning to do across the country, New York, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, because this isn't about safety. It's about control. The force we are seeing being unleashed on Los Angeles, the city where I live, by the way, is not an honest reaction to a developing situation, but an instigation and then justification of something pre-planned. Before the administration caused this problem by sending ICE in to terrorize our communities, to invade our city and deny people their right to due process, essentially initiating extrajudicial kidnappings of people and horrific cruel separations of children from their parents, LA was doing just fine. We live in community with one another. Over 35% of our population are immigrants, with 64% of them coming from Latin America, primarily Mexico, which of course makes sense because California used to belong to Mexico. Los Angeles itself is a Spanish name. Our streets, our culture, it's all very Latin. So to claim that our neighbors and our friends and our families are criminals and drug dealers and rapists when you are ambushing people at immigration courts to arrest mothers and Home Depots to round up handymen and elementary schools to take children away is outrageous. And when things are outrageous, of course people are going to protest. That is our legal right in this country when we are upset with the actions of our government. What we are seeing in LA is the response to the lack of due process for people that we know and care about. And until law enforcement got violent, the people were mostly peaceful. Now you have the federal government calling us rioters and insurrectionists and criminals. Has there been some vandalism and violence? Yes, but no more than a World Series celebration parade, and certainly way less than January 6th, which was an actual insurrection with violence against the police where everyone was pardoned for their patriotism. But here in LA, despite the fact the LAPD and the Sheriff's Department were clear that they did not want or need help, no external law enforcement, and the governor was adamant the National Guard, which is under his jurisdiction, not be called in, 4,000 National Guard have been deployed here, along with the US military. The Marines, no less. All on Los Angeles streets. For what? What are they going to do? Because they're not here to quell protest. The Marines weren't trained for that. These guys are trained killers, not crowd control. This is a show of force to make a point. The troops in LA, the National Guard, the Marines, the helicopters with their missiles flying between our buildings downtown, the troops with their tanks that will be on display in Washington this weekend, this is all a move towards a different form of government, a move from democracy and rule of law to authoritarianism and a strongman style of government, where Donald Trump gets to be Vladimir Putin or Viktor Orban or Kim Jong-un. This was always the plan of the Trump Project 2025 administration. LA is just the excuse. And what better way to prove your power than by dominating a blue city in a blue state? Do not be mistaken. The language being used around this event is deliberate. Stephen Miller knows what he's doing when he uses the word insurrection. J.D. Vance is using insurrection language. Kristi Noem is calling LA a city of criminals. Mike Johnson said Gavin Newsom should be tarred and feathered. A massive, horrific crime, by the way. The president has called for the mayor and the governor's arrest. What they are doing is called papering the record, so that later they can justify the extreme actions they already planned to take. The LAPD was handling these protests just fine, but the Trump-Miller regime needed a justification to invoke the Insurrection Act and take full control of the country. And this is the opportunity they've been waiting for. It's just an opportunity they instigated. So we have to make sure they don't get what they want. They don't get their photo op of bad behavior. They don't get to wag the dog and make us the criminals they want us to be. Our city is not rioting. We're not insurrectionists. 1 in 10 Americans lives in California. LA County has a bigger population than 44 states in this nation. LA is not blue. It is red, white, and blue. LA is America. And make no mistake, Donald Trump is at war with America. He wants to destroy America. He's just using LA to do it. So we could really use the country's support because he's certainly not going to stop with us.